Welcome to Homeschool Life. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Adriana. We're going to talk about the prepared environment. We're going to discuss which environments actually really promote a positive learning experience. Something that you need to think about when looking at the environment that you're trying to put together for your kids is, do the children really look forward to being there, and are they naturally drawn to want to spend time in there on their own accord? Because what you don't want to do is you do not want to recreate the school classroom at home. Because what is the school classroom like?
Well, yeah, I mean, school classroom from my experience has been somewhat disappointing.
Yes, it means, if you're really going to be specific, it means an uncomfortable desk and chair, no freedom to move around. You're supposed to be in that one little space. You have no choice on what you're learning, and there is no independence. And actually, and it can be a very stressful place to be.
Sure, you're under there a lot of times under a certain level of duress. I mean, very few children actually are engaged in that situation.
Yes.
So the thing is you if you need to go to the bathroom, you have to ask permission, and sometimes it's no. I mean, there's a lot of different stressors, but that's not really the main point of this. What started on us wanting to talk about it. Uh, I saw some posts. You saw some posts of a lot of first time homeschoolers. They're posting their classroom that they just set up in their house, right? And some of them are very beautiful and everything else like this, but they all resemble the public school environment.
The look, in a way.
The look.
They need the uncomfortable desk and chair, because I don't think you really know that just like there are ergonomics in the workplace for us, some of us that are lucky anyway, because I do get an ergonomic chair as an engineer because I need to be comfortable. I'm there all the time. Children also have to have furniture that are ergonomic for them.
Well, I just remembered something. When I was there was a portion in my childhood that I was homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I was a teenager. I was about 14, right? And so my mom set up a little desk and a lamp, and I had actually a typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
There's no computer back then. But the thing is it was like facing a wall in a corner of a wall, and it felt all enclosed. And I hated being there, right? Because my mom was in the kitchen and the living room, she was watching TV and everything, and I was stuck in literally a corner, uh, and having to do these worksheets.
Yeah, it's not conducive for learning. It really isn't. Kids really don't want to be in there. And to be honest, adults don't want to be in there. You don't, I mean, if you're going to be learning for 3 hours, that's not the environment you want to be in. It's not going to give you, it's not going to put you in a mode of being creative
Mm-hmm.
or wanting to discover things. So, what we say is to not try to mimic what's in the schools, because does not promote creativity. It actually suppresses it. So even Montessori goes into this in her book, The Montessori Method, where she actually discusses these elements in the actual school environment that are not conducive for learning.
That was one of the first things she saw. Okay, and she talked about it, and in her book, The Montessori Method, she weaves this beautiful section, and I really can't quote from it because it's every paragraph is kind of built upon uh, each other. But one of the things that I'd like to glean from that is that she saw the bolted down desks, the restrictions of the measurements of the desk and everything like this, all in line, and where they can't the other children can't really interact with each other, and it all seemed to be tailored for the convenience of the teacher. And she compared it to um, a glass box of butterfly specimens
The bu-
pinned.
Yep.
And so
The butterfly's beautiful in the on display. Like it makes it look like the classroom is look absolutely beautiful in a certain perspective from the teacher,
right,
the one in control, and is designed to ease her job.
right. But what you really have is dead, lifeless bugs.
It's not geared or in the perspective of the child wanting to be there, the child wanting to learn. And that's what we're trying this is what we're trying to cover here is the perspective should be from the children because
Right.
it's their environment. They're gonna need to be independent in their learning experience.
Right.
You know, if you want to be on top of them all the time, then that's what you're conditioning your children is to always have someone in authority telling them what to learn and how to do things. You really don't want them to be on that.
Let me just read this quote real quick because I think it's really good.
Okay.
She says, "The concept of liberty, which must always inspire pedagogy, is instead universal. The biological sciences of the 19th century have shown it to us when they have offered us the means of studying life. If, therefore, the old-time pedagogy foresaw or vaguely expressed the principle of studying the pupil before educating him, and of leaving him free to his spontaneous manifestations, such an intuition, indefinite and barely expressed, was made possible of practical attainment only after the contribution of the experimental sciences during the last century." Basically, what this means is that we have to look and study the child as a living organism rather than something static. And it makes more sense when you read the previous chapters and previous paragraphs on her.
Yeah, I mean,
hang on, her analogy to the butterfly box.
Yeah, the error has been all this time that we're looking from the teacher's perspective, the adult, how to more easily for that person to unload this information or give it to the children. But that's wrong because you can't, for you to assume that the child is going to absorb it effortlessly is incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, again, in the school system, they are learning to pass a test. So it's just based on temporary memory. There's nothing stays there permanently, and because the child really could care less about this information.
Right.
It's not meaningful. And so the thing is, you can actually achieve that giving them things that are meaningful to them that they're going to want to learn. And it can be like academic subjects.
Well, even as even as an adult, if we wanted to learn something or we had to read a book or study something,
mm-hmm.
Even out of entertainment, we get to a nice comfortable spot.
Mm-hmm.
We get ourselves a cup of tea or coffee or whatever.
Exactly.
And then we enjoy learning the things that we want to learn.
We prepare the environment to promote that thing that we want to do.
We naturally do that. And as living beings, you see this in all mammalian situations where they nest or they do this or they prepare their own environment.
Right, exactly. So instead of the school classroom environment, what you want to make that prepared environment for your child is make it comfortable, make it appealing, set it in a way where they have access to learning materials, where they can self-initiate their learning experience, where they can be independent, they're free to move around. Because if you really pay attention and observe children, a lot of times they like to work on the floor.
Sure.
They like to spread out all these things on the floor. To them, that's more comfortable than the limited space on the desk. Of course, there's some things where they would prefer being on the desk, but they need that freedom to move around.
And to some people, it drives them crazy to have kids with things on the floor.
Yes, it needs to be stress-free. It also has to have a place where they can show off their projects or work, or a place to where they can hang their artwork, where they can be proud of what they've accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the elements you have to have there. So if you, as a parent, having a difficult time imagining something different than the classroom, then maybe go back in time and think about when you were a child and you, I mean, I know that I caught a glimpse of the teacher's lounge room, and I thought, wow, that room
Oh yeah.
looks pretty cool, very amazing. I mean, the teachers love hanging in there. They had their comfortable couch area, they had their TV, their snack areas. I mean, it was like, why don't as a kid, I'm like, why don't we have that in our classroom? I mean, I would really hang out in there, if I had something like that. So basically, make it a fun place where learning happens. That's that's how you set it up.
It's along those same lines. Is I remember in ninth grade. Okay, this is in a private school, so my homeroom was in the shop class.
Wow.
And as a boy, it was like, that was fantastic.
Exactly.
Because it's like all these machines and lathes and saws and stuff like this, and we're around these big, and it's like the smell of sawdust, and it was really appealing to me. It's like, I'm not telling you to set up your classroom in your garage, but the thing is I enjoyed it. It was something, because I knew that I had shop class, so I could like kind of get a little bit ahead or something like this anyway. But I digress. The thing is where do we find those inspirations? You talked about the teacher's lounge. Well, how about just asking the kid?
Yeah, most of the kids, they want a commons room. They want a place where they can hang out and it's fun and they can talk, and to me it's like, add some learning elements in there too. Because if they're gonna want to hang out in there and you have these science kits laying around, they're gonna want to investigate, right? So that's what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna go ahead and go even more specific of what you can do depending on the developmental stage. In other words, the age group that your child is in. So to start with, I'm gonna say, if you have a toddler, what does that look like? What can that prepared environment look like? So obviously you need to be able to observe them, right? Because
you're not gonna have a coffee machine in there for them.
No, but let me just say. Okay. So you need a place where you can observe them and where they have access to you. And so the toddler room is actually more like a little area in your living room where you can have like a play kitchen with play food, etc., and a small table and 2 chairs maybe to sit in, a mirror at their level, so when they dress up they can look at themselves. You can also have like a small inflatable pool with soft color balls in it where they can throw those balls around.
Yeah.
Of course, floor space, and also outside space. You need space outside where it's safe and they can do things on their own as well, play with water and sand. That's something that toddlers like to do. And have any learning material available to them, like puzzles, board books, etc. So basically, you want to create an environment where they can stay busy and engaged. And as a parent, you can safely observe them. You can keep an eye on them. And also, you need to engage with them as well. You don't just drop them in there and go on your way. You have to kind of be there, be with them, because they're little.
But the thing is the prepared environment is going to look different at each stage of the development.
And that's why I'm going through this.
And the thing is it's like you obviously you want to engage with them, like you were saying.
Yeah, at this stage, yes, because they're toddlers. You need to engage with them.
Well, even in other stages of development, you're going to engage with them.
Yes, but it's a little bit different.
Sure. Why don't you tell
I'll
us
discuss it.
Okay.
So, in early childhood, that means ages 3 to 6. Again, you have that general open area. It could be the living room or whatever. Or you can have like what they call a game room or another family room, whatever. And you basically put a little small couch for them. Again, the table and chairs for their size. Floor space as well. You can have a TV and DVD player with documentaries and educational DVDs. That way they themselves choose to put in a DVD when they want to, learn about animals or whatever. They have that freedom to do so. Oh yeah,
Annabelle really was drawn to that. She'd put in DVD after DVD until she basically memorized the documentary.
Right, and lots of books. no computer yet or any of those technologies, because they can become too distracting. And because, I mean, technology is awesome, but the problem is they're so awesome that it's going to take away. They compete too much, and so you really don't want to get them in at this stage, because it's because they're too entertaining. It takes away the attention away.
Well, it's like having a big bowl of sugar.
Yes.
Okay.
They will eat it.
They will eat the whole bowl of sugar. And the thing is, there's no filter. There's no delay of gratification if you just give them this huge thing. You want to be able to train the mind in a certain way, and the basics, hands-on type thing, the tactileness of, well, you get the idea.
Right. And so also for the ages 3 to 6, you need a lot of hands-on learning materials.
Yes.
Science kits appropriate for that age group, learning kits. And again, the parents need to be able to observe and keep an eye on them, also engage with them.
Well, there's also observing to see where they're at in their learning, and also to gauge, because the teachers are the parents are educating their children. Right. And so it's not like this passive, observation. The observation is, okay, I know where my child is as far as learning this particular thing.
You're assessing their mastery levels. You're assessing their preferences. You're actually getting to know your child in a more intimate level, where you actually can choose materials for your kid. You say, oh, they're really into dinosaurs, so now you know what kind of things you can incorporate into your prepared environment that's going to keep them engaged and busy.
And this is why I can interject there, is because we use terminology and we know what we're talking about when we say to observe, right? But when we say it to the people who don't fully understand yet, or novices at homeschooling, it's not just watching them. There's an assessment going on, like you were saying.
Right. And the lower elementary child, which is ages 6 through 9, it's very similar to the early childhood, which I covered. The only difference is that's when you can start incorporating the computer and some technology, but incorporate it as a tool. Teach them how to do spreadsheets, put Word documents together. Maybe what I did with our daughter at age 7 is I taught her PowerPoint. So at that point, she had the choice to write things in PowerPoint presentations. So this is what I mean by teaching the tools, not the entertainment aspects, not the things that will distract a child.
She really gravitated towards that, because the little animations that are so easy to do that even a manager can do it. For a child, it's very easy to do, like all the little tricks and stuff of text and
let me tell you,
and transitions.
Even though I say they're tools, Word document and Excel and all these things actually became entertaining, but they're entertainment as far as them learning on their own how to do things with these tools.
Yes.
And that's what really parents don't realize, is they can actually self-teach. They start clicking, they start looking at the menus, and they start knowing how to do things. And my daughter knows more how to use Paint than I do. And I taught her just a few basics just to get her going. But she was able to go beyond on her own. She learned how to use the mouse. I mean, she
actually recreated constellations and wrote up
the constellation cards.
Yes, in Paint.
Yes.
So
that's what we mean by that. That's the lower elementary, the implementation of technology, but to learn how to use it as a tool.
And of course, her computer was not connected to the internet in any way.
Right.
And so those little basic things that she could easily master and have a good feeling about it.
Right. All right, and then I'll discuss the next stage, which is the upper elementary, the older elementary child, ages 9 through 12. And so here is where things start to change a little bit, okay? They may want a separate room now because they're trying to transition into having a little bit more privacy, right? Obviously, because of their developmental stage. And so there, again, you have to have a bigger couch because this
Mm-hmm.
is an older child now. Again, the table and chair is according to their ergonomics.
Well, also along those same lines is the uh, the desire of the parents to get their children to self-teach.
Yes,
Okay,
they're gaining more and
that's
more independence, where now they're like being more into the self learning and needing less of you.
yes, and that's what makes it easier. Once you've started them down the road of agency, as even starting with toddlers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And building upon that, and then at the point where they are 11 and 12, they're like, oh, I can learn whatever I want to learn with very little input from you.
Exactly. Exactly. So again, in this older elementary child environment, they also have floor space. Floor space is always there because kids do like to work on the floor. It's just a normal thing for them. A computer, obviously, for educational purposes only. TV and DVD player for their educational videos, their books, hands-on kits and materials. Again, always the hands-on kits, the science kits, so that they can always do things on their own. You can incorporate electronic kits here, models like anatomy models. A good time to implement that in there because kids, again, they just like to. They're curious. They're naturally curious. They want to get their hands on things and kind of figure out what is this for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, they need that. They're starting to need more of their private space, and parents can visit and give lessons there. So now you're becoming more like a visiting tutor. Let me come into your space
Environment.
and learn your environment and kind of show you something neat. Okay, let me show you something neat about history or whatever. So you're there visiting, giving them something, and then you may put something on that shelf for them to on their own accord want to revisit or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because they will revisit it. Believe me, if you make it interesting enough and awesome, they will revisit that learning material.
It's amazing the amount of material that children can self-learn.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I can think of many examples of our daughter self-teaching herself things, and I'm beside myself. But the thing is I hear these stories from other parents where I didn't. It's like this one, veteran homeschooler said, I did not teach my kid algebra. He taught it to himself,
Exactly.
and it's like I don't know how he did it. And it's interesting story.
And
You know,
it's more successful when they learn it on their own. It really is, because it stays with them and they're proud that they're able to accomplish something for themselves. That's the whole point.
and so the quandary of those type of anecdotal stories is, how did they do it?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's asking, well, how did they do it? And it's in the preparation from way back when
Of the environment.
of the environment and of the early lessons on in direction, that masterful direction to a certain goal. Okay,
Correct.
where they discover that they have a desire to do it.
Exactly.
Okay, and that may seem a little vague, but if you've had children, you'll know that there's this magical point, right, where that happens. And usually it's about the child is wanting to solve something for a specific purpose. You'll see this very obviously with video games. Okay, a lot of people say, oh, or even a teacher would tell parents, your child has a problem with attention span. He doesn't pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
But at home he has a vast amount of attention for this game with complex rules
Exactly.
and complex controls. He will spend hours learning the game and all the particulars about it, and modifications to the game, right? And so, though that's a lot of concentration and a lot of attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that the kids can't focus.
Mm-hmm.
They can, But the answer to the question is, what's in it for me?
Exactly.
Okay. What do I want to get out of it?
Exactly. So, and on this one, we're not talking about curriculum or lessons. Okay, that's a different podcast. This is more about how you can prepare an
Yes.
environment and what you can put in there so that children can be independent and can be on the right path for self-teaching.
Right.
So, having the resources in that room available to them so that they can pick up a book that interests them and learn something on their own without having you to be there reading it to them or having them to read it. It's like it means it's more meaningful when the child picks that certain book by himself. You know.
I'm going to put you on a spot here, and I'm going to ask, how do you know that the learning environment that you've created is not working?
Well, when the kid is not spending any time
exactly.
in there.
Yes.
So
okay, we've created this classroom, right? And the kid's always in the living room.
That should tell you
that
they don't
should tell you very clearly that your system's not working.
So what we've done, and we've posted some of our prepared environments, you know, that we've done for our daughter and in different stages and different places we lived, and the reason we knew that it worked is because she basically spends all day in there.
Yeah.
So it's her area, and so that should tell you that you did it right.
Right.
And you keep, and we'll talk about the evolution of it, but let me talk about the last part.
Yes.
The last stage, which is the middle schooler and older, a much older child. And this is actually where we are in with our daughter, middle school age. And we're in the process of our changing the environment for her. And what needs to happen is you have to make it even more, it becomes more private for her, and where she is even more independent. And what that means is maybe upgrading to a bigger couch, table and chairs, bring in a mini fridge at this point. Yeah. A self-serve snack area. I mean, this is an older child.
You know, and that self-serve snack could be a little basket of like even
bags of chips. You know, things that are still nutritional,
right?
Nutritionally balanced, and it's okay for them to have whatever. Something that they can maintain by themselves, maintain it clean. You know, a cool place for when they have friends come over. They want to hang out in there.
That's right.
Okay, this is their common place. They want to hang out, and your child becomes the host or hostess. That becomes now the area that they want to make sure stays clean and well maintained so that they can receive their friends, right?
Now, of course, there's some people they can't really have like a separate bedroom.
Yeah, let me address that in just a moment.
Yes.
And so what else you can have in that environment is the cool kits, you know, the cool, like maybe robotic stuff or whatever, that when their friends come over, they're like, oh, that is so cool. And then again, they're putting their hands on these educational materials. Again, it promotes a good learning environment for them. So before I talk about what you were just mentioning about if you don't have these kind of spaces, I want to also mention that these learning environments should not be yours. It's not about bragging to others your ability to decorate a room. It's more, it's an environment that is for your child. Okay, that's for them, and it should always evolve as your child transitions into the different developmental stages. As they get older, that environment needs to be changing and meeting that child's needs. And it's never static and the same. So to give you an idea, you should be changing it out every 3 years and making it to where it's more towards your older child. Okay, so you were saying about if you don't have these common areas, and actually that's some of the things that some people say, that big families with 4 kids or more, where basically every room and space in their house is a bedroom, literally. So what do you do? So I did discuss the living room space for the smaller kids, where you have to divide it up. And we were there when Annabelle was younger. we had to put some of our furniture in storage because
I remember.
because we wanted to make sure she had her space in there. So all we had were our two recliners in the living room, and then we made space in there for her.
Right.
So if you don't have,
and I had to move my office out of another bedroom, and then put it in another area with less privacy, and so that other room became for her.
Right.
Okay. Now, of course, if every bedroom is full, then you have to come up with other solution.
Right.
But still, the basic philosophy of having a place where if you have multiple kids, that they want to come.
You have to be creative, and the already common places for adults like the living room and dining room, you're gonna have to somehow incorporate a little space for them in those areas.
And if it's like the kitchen table, okay, then the kitchen table has to be clean. Okay, without all the stuff on it. Place where the kids can go and gather as a group, as a social unit.
Right. And another way to think about it creatively, if you can't do it inside the house, find an outdoor space.
That's another
Bring
excellent...
it outside. And so, you, like I said, you have to think outside the box and think and say, how can I make a space work for a child to want to hang out in?
Right.
So, anyway.
And you just if you have any questions, you can contact us. But the thing is look, ask yourself, would I be comfortable here? Right? Would I want to hang out here? And then ask your kids about what they want to add. Just in having them and being involved in the design process may actually give them that feeling of agency.
Exactly. So, and you really want to also make sure that environment is not in the bedroom, because the bedroom should be a place where they retire and sleep. It shouldn't be mixed in with all the other stuff. So, because they want to socialize with you. They want to be outside of their bedroom and be somewhere where you can be accessible. So, anyway, I think we pretty much covered.
Yes. If you want to schedule a session with us, you can go to our website and click the link to schedule a session.
Homeschoollife.net.
If you want to donate to us, we appreciate all the donations so far. You can find us on Patreon and also on PayPal. Please stop by Twitter and follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much, and enjoy your day.
Bye.